Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we got the first sneak peek for the upcoming May update, which means two things. Something hype is on the way, and the update should be landing in about 8 days, which is amazing because I cannot wait for another MFF update. The updates have been so banging this year. It's just amazing. So yeah, I think it's in 8 days if my math is correct. But yeah, let's jump in and see what this update is about. An unusual energy has been detected far beyond the stars of the night sky in Marvel Future Fight. Agents this May watch out for the supervillains, plural, that turn planets to dust for their leader. We come in peace, take us to your leader. No, they take their leader to you, and then he snaps. You know what we're talking about, Black Order and Thanos, baby. Stay aware of this warrior's weapon, as even the strongest heroes cannot escape its edge. That's CORVUS GLAIVE's glaive. Yes. And someone's going to say it's not a glaive, it's a halberd or whatever. But yes, CORVUS GLAIVE, his last name is literally his weapon. So yeah, that's pretty funny. We will return and announce information on the next objective. So this is very exciting. CORVUS is getting, well, why don't we jump over and see what is actually going down. So over on Twitter, I actually have a bit of investigative work for you because I can't figure it out. Over on Twitter, here's the sneak peek. Efficient, economical, effective. Or economical, effective. This cunning warrior of the Mad Titan is ready to reintroduce order in Marvel Future Fight's 7.1 update. I don't know what that means, man. Why did they go with the alliteration of efficient, economical, and effective? Why triple E? I just don't get it. What is the E supposed to be a 3? Like three E's, tier 3? You know, I don't get it. So yeah, if you understand what this means, if you can sort of make something out of this, I'm down to hear all of your ideas and conspiracy theories. Anywho, let's check out the actual sneak peek. It's really cool. Again, one more time. We've said this so many times this year. Oh, let me hit this on loop. Oh, perfect timing. I've said this so many times this year, but it begs repeating. The sneak peek team has no equal. There is no game out there that does sneak peeks, that does hype videos, that does, you know, lead ups and clue videos better than MFF. There certainly is not a mobile game on this planet, or any other planet for that matter, that does it as well as these people do. They are fantastic. And we are so thankful to have them. I'm so thankful to have them. So we see this really, really cool, like this is looking like a thumbnail background for me and maybe Godzilla and stuff. So all you content creators out there, go and find a way to save this YouTube video and then just take a screenshot right here to get a really nice thumbnail background. This is how we do it. Anyway, so this planet is sort of going, which could mean that Thanos is destroying it. It could also mean that like Galactus is going to come and eat it. But anyways, this is not a Galactus kind of update. This is a Black Order kind of update. Anyways, so the planet's going, and then we see this change of color. So this really cool like purple and orange, getting some Lakers vibes. Anyways, and then boom, the glaive comes in, and then we get a very brief of something, and then the screen goes completely black. Now, what was that of something? Well, with the power of going frame by frame on YouTube, we can see here very clearly that's CORVUS GLAIVE. So that's how we know, obviously the weapon, but as on top of the weapon, we can see CORVUS in what looks like some sort of brand new uniform, some brand new armor, and then he's got his glaive here. Because if you actually go in game to the model, and he was sort of peeking over there at the beginning of the video, his armor, I mean, doesn't look anything like that, right? The shoulders are completely different. This is all has a bunch of horizontal lines going, or vertical lines going up and down, and the shoulder pads are basically non-existent, and it's got some drapery stuff on the elbows. This is completely different. There's nothing draping on the elbows down here. There is a distinct shoulder pad, you know, under the epaulette or whatever. This goes out, creating this sort of gap. I don't want to get too technical and too like fashionista here, but yeah, there's no way that this is his default look, and there's no way that this is his end game, his Infinity War look, and it wouldn't make sense anyways, right? If he was just gonna get some sort of actually, it's a lot closer to this. It's a lot closer to this original look, but it's still not. However, there's more to the sneak peek, because if you see, there's someone standing next to him. Now, I don't know who that is, but it's definitely someone standing next to him. So that's why I said, and that's why I opened up the video, the Black Order, right? It's not just Corvus. It seems like the whole crew is getting uniforms, because on top of that, we have the wording in the sneak peek where they said, watch out for the super villains. That's the entire Black Order. So let's dive into this a little bit more carefully. So the Black Order, geez, not Supergiant. Supergiant's part of the Black Order, but the Black Order consists of 5 members so far. There's been more than 5 members in the Black Order, and there have been some changes and things like that. But the original 5 that we have in the game are Corvus, Proxima, Supergiant, Ebony Maw, and Cull Obsidian. And the really important thing to remember, guys, is that 4 of those 5 have their own World Boss Ultimate, and they got uniforms for Infinity War. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And remember that Supergiant has gotten nothing. So this is the perfect time, and I would be absolutely stunned if they did not finally give Supergiant a uniform and a rework. So our girl is most likely, I would say there's like a 90% chance that she's going to finally get a rework. I would say, however, there is a 10% chance that they say, you know what, Marvel really doesn't want to push this character anymore. Maybe they're going to phase her out of the comics altogether, or I don't know, just like, you know, grandfather her into dust, into space. So we're going to take her out. There's a possibility. There's always a possibility, you know. I think it's at this point, it's either she gets a rework and we get a World Boss Ultimate for her, because we still don't have one. 2 years later, or sorry, 3 years later? 3 years later, we still don't have a World Boss Ultimate for her. So either she gets a uniform and we get a World Boss Ultimate for her. Maybe in some alternate reality, we get a World Boss Legend for her, which would be also pretty cool. Or it's like she disappears and the World Boss is gone. The reason why I say the World Boss is gone is because as it stands now, whenever you roll your World Boss of the day, whether you're just doing whether it's just your free reroll, like when it changes at the daily reset, or whether you have VIP 1 and you can reroll it yourself for gold, whenever it lands on Supergiant for any player, whether you're VIP 0 or VIP 20, you don't want to see it land on Supergiant because it's a dead roll. It's literally better to land on anyone. So this is huge for the game. And she was one of the characters. Supergiant was one of the 10 characters that we voted on, the top 10 characters to get reworked, I believe. I think Supergiant, Hela, and Adam Warlock are the only 3 left, but I could be wrong about Supergiant. Maybe she was just outside the top 10. But she deserves it. She totally deserves it. And the rest of the Black Order do as well. I actually made a video, I think it was earlier this year, where I basically said there's no point, it might have been last year, but there's basically no point to work on anyone from the Black Order. The very most that you could do if you really love PvP is to get Ebony Maw ranked up and buy his uniform. And you don't even need to buy his uniform to use the effect. So you could run a 1-star Ebony Maw for his leadership and World Boss Ultimate, and in PvP for the uniform effect, which is 20% increase or 25% increase decrease damage against universal types, which some people run in conjunction with like big heavy hitters in PvP like Sentry and stuff to give more damage, to do more damage to other Sentries and other popular characters, because most of the best characters in PvP are universal. But yeah, this is huge, man. I love the Black Order. There's so much to really dissect here. And the possibility of Supergiant getting a World Boss Ultimate, like, if you're not hype enough, if you're still wondering why I'm so hype, take a look at her Conqueror rewards. She drops the best Odin's Blessing, Magic. That's double energy attack. And that would mean if she drops it there, unless they change it, that would mean that she has a chance to drop it when you play her as your World Boss of the day. Because for Corvus, right, he drops, for the Conqueror, he gives you heal. But when you play him as your World Boss of the day, you can get you can get this even if he's not your World Boss of the day. But if he is your World Boss of the day, you can get this even more frequently. Some people can get like 2 or 3 in a day. I know some people don't get any, I understand, but you can actually kind of farm Odin's Blessings by playing one World Boss over and over again. So that's huge. Big power spike for everyone's accounts there if we just all jump in and start playing World Boss Ultimate Supergiant, if she gets one. So there's just a ton here, not to mention the fact that this is potentially, if all of them are getting uniforms, 5 universal villains being reworked. That is really good, because villains are always in short supply in Marvel Future Fight, on top of the fact that we have a really healthy mix. We have 2 physical and 3 energy attackers So there's a really, really good balance, and we have the potential for characters that are good for PvP and good for PvE because he has Guard Break Immunity as a passive, he has Revive, and then Proxima, Corvus, and Proxima, Ebony, and Supergiant have other abilities that make them good. But there's just really like a lot of potential for this. And then, not to mention the fact that there's always a chance when you're talking about the Black Order, you can see how hype I am, that the big boy Thanos is going to get a new uniform. Yeah. Now, okay, I delivered the hype, right? Possibility for 5 or 6 new uniforms for some of the coolest Universal villains we have in the game. They were in the movies, MCU style, right? World Boss Ultimate Supergiant, farming Odin's Blessings of Magic. Okay, here is the slowdown. I hit the gas, now I'm gonna hit the brakes. I would recommend not, so do not work on any of the Black Order or Thanos. That's my advice to you. Because there's no reason to work on them now. They can all be at 1 star for you. I would say definitely unlock them if you haven't already unlocked them. You could maybe say you shouldn't unlock Supergiant yet, just to wait and see how she's unlockable, but you do run the risk. If you don't unlock her now, it's kind of a pain to unlock her now because you do have to play her for 2 days. You have to play her 5 times a day for 2 days. Don't forget to use Vision. You got to play her, and you basically sacrifice 2 days of farming CCF from Null and Mephisto or whatever, right? Because it's regular World Boss Ultimate. It's regular World Boss. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if you can, you have to be careful. You might not even be able to play her 5 times a day because of the Vision quest. If you can use him in World Boss, yeah, it says Ultimate or Legend with Vision. So you can actually do a maximum of 4, not 5. So you got to be very careful about that for that quest. But yeah, because in the off chance that they get rid of her World Boss Ultimate, like instead of giving her World Boss Ultimate stage, if they just get rid of it and then they put her up for crystals in the shop like they did for Odin and Dormammu. So yeah, that's the only thing I would say. I would say if you don't have their bios already, if you haven't unlocked them at 1 star, now's the time. Chop chop, get to it, unlock them at 1 star. But beyond unlocking them at 1 star, that goes for Corvus, Proxima, Supergiant, Ebony Maw, Cull Obsidian, and Thanos. Besides unlocking them at 1 star, if you don't have them ranked up and you have them at 1 star, just keep them there. There's no advantage. Well, there's always the advantage of being able to unlock their potential and taking them to level 70. But that is going to cost you a lot of resources up front. So you're kind of gambling a lot of your resources, hoping that one of these uniforms is going to be really good. Assuming they all get uniforms. So I would say the gamble is probably not worth it. But just to refresh your memory, each member of the Black Order costs exactly the same amount. Besides Thanos, they cost 4,400 black antimatter and 1,350 Chaos Norn stones, I believe, to get their mastery. So they're not the double cost ones like Odin and Thanos and Scarlet Witch. They are the half cost characters like Quicksilver. So they're actually not that bad to rank up. I think they only cost about like 30 or 40 million gold, not like, 70 or 80 like Thanos and the other super expensive ones. That does, however, mean that they should cost, if any of them get tier 3, they should cost 1,200 CCF, just like Quicksilver. The cost is exactly the same, so they should be 1,200 CCF if Corvus gets it, if Supergiant gets it, Proxima, etc. And then if they get an Awakening, because both of those are on the table, then they would be the same cost as Beta Ray Bill. So that means you're going to need 1,500 Mandalay gem fragments. I'm just sort of preparing you guys for the resource hit, right? It'll be 1,500 Mandalays instead of 1,000, and it'll be more, or actually, is it 1,500 or 2,000? And then it's more Awakening crystals, and it's a little bit more CCF. It's 360 CCF instead of 240. So yeah, that's my advice to you guys. Consider ranking up these characters, like getting them unlocked at 1 star, ranking them up to 1 star by collecting their bios, because you can only collect their bios like Mephisto, like Null, by playing in those stages and collecting their bios. But you probably should have by now anyways, just from playing them for other reasons like farming books and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty much everybody, unless you're a brand new player, you should have them at least at 1 star, but don't take them past 1 star in my opinion. Now, last but not least, I kind of got sidetracked with all that advice. Last but not least, I want to talk a little bit more about the uniforms, because I've already seen a lot of conversation about this, and this always happens with an update. When we see the first sneak peek, we're always wondering, where's the inspiration, right? Are they pulling this from this comic or that series or that whatever? But for this one, I gotta say, I'm kind of stumped, Now, I'm kind of stumped about this efficient, economical, effective thing on Twitter, but I'm also kind of stumped as to where these uniforms come from. The best and the most and the closest uniformed look that I could find for them in the comics is these from a 2008 run, I think, 2008 or 2009. This was the Guardians of the Galaxy run, and then there's Black Swan back there, and this was when they were attacking the body of Thanos, because Thanos had died, and Gamora was on the run. I think Gamora had killed Thanos. She was acting as that thing, I can't remember what it's called, with that big sword. Anyways, they kidnapped the body of Thanos for Hela because they wanted to resurrect Thanos or whatever. And they have these like space suits here, but the guns always look kind of goofy to me, and these uniforms don't quite look the same. Like, this is Corvus down here. The suit is very sleek. There's no sort of embellishment whatsoever, which is like, no, there's no way. And again, he's got his glaive. Here he's got a gun. So this is the closest one, but this doesn't match. This doesn't match. Here's another look here from the comics of the three of them chilling on a planet. Again, it doesn't match the one that we see. Like, this is very muted. There's basically no color whatsoever. There's nothing anywhere. And then this is just their base looks or whatever, which is obviously not this either. This just looks really, really cool. But another thing we could see as well, I didn't really speculate on any characters. I just talked about uniforms and stuff. We could see Black Swan. However, this also then ties into a lot of other characters, which is really interesting. So Nova Richard Rider actually has a really epic battle with Black Swan in space. So it's possible that he could get an upgrade of some kind. His uniform here is basically exactly the same as the one we have in the game, but he could get Awakening. He could get a tier 3. It's possible. Maybe they saw how popular Moonstone was. They want, to create another epic, really powerful 6,600 crystal character. And then another one to talk about here is Black Swan kidnapping or capturing Tony Stark. And if you'll look closely at his armor, it looks very close to the armor that we have now. So maybe there's a tie-in here. They brought in to this Tony first, and they're going to bring in Black Swan later. So we could see Black Swan as a new character. There's a couple of other options. There's a couple of other possibilities for new characters. They could give Hela a tier 3 because of her connection to Thanos and her connection to the Black Order in this run. They could bring in Lady Death. Like, there's a lot of things they could do. That's obviously speculating with no basis from the sneak peek. The sneak peek really just tells us that at least 2 members of the Black Order are going to be getting uniforms based on the fact that they went ahead and used an S on super villains. And at least one of them has to be Corvus, and there's one other person standing next to Corvus who we as of yet can't identify. That could be Thanos, pretty big thighs. Could be Cull Obsidian, could be anybody. Anywho, I'm very excited. Hit me up in the comments down below if you couldn't already tell that I'm very excited. Let me know what you think about this sneak peek and about this upcoming update. Thank you so much for watching. Start saving your black antimatter, chaos, north stones, and gold, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.